Okay, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Uh, if you recall in my introduction video, if you saw it, uh, I said I wanted to share spiritual experiences and dreams um, that I've had since I was a little girl. Um, I mean, this is going to also be in a different category as the Bible studies, of course. But I wanted to share this. I said I was going to share these dreams and visions. And I also invite anybody else that that has had experiences and, aren't really comfortable talking about them, kind of worried about what somebody might think of them. I want to invite you guys to share with, on this channel if you'd like as well. My story starts out, I've had a lot of experiences, but the most profound one and the earliest one I can remember, I think I had to be about 4 going into kindergarten, because where we lived, I started kindergarten there. So what happened was my mom, we had a car when we were younger, my parents, but my dad, his car was his car. He didn't do too much where he allowed, took us anywhere as a family. He was married, he was a minister, but he did his own thing. So my mom, where we were living, we were looking to move. So we would get out, she would take us walking, and if she found houses or something like that had a for rent sign in them, she would write down the address and the phone number so she could call, once we got back home. So we were walking one day and we ran across this house, and I will never forget the house. It was on Columbia Avenue. And my mom, we were standing out there, and I think maybe she sent my brothers to, look in the window, the older ones, see if you can see in, and I don't remember if they could see in or not. But when we were standing out there, the neighbor, he came outside. He was an elderly man. He introduced himself. His name was Mr. Williams. And he introduced himself to my mom, and he told her a little bit about the property. I guess he owned his property, so he was familiar with the landlord and, how many rooms was in the house and, the space. So he was talking to my mom, and my mom introduced all of us to him. And I have more than five siblings, but it was just the 5 of us, including me, that day. And when he introduced himself, Mr. Williams, my mom said her name, and then she introduced my siblings. Oh, this is my oldest son, this is my middle son, this is my oldest daughter, this is my daughter. She introduced me, this is Betty, and she introduced my little brother. And they all shook his hand, but I wouldn't shake his hand, because my mom asked me, well, what's wrong with you? And I said, I'm not going to shake his hand. He's the devil. And, this had to be in 69, 70. Back then you couldn't say things like that to, grown-ups when you were, a little kid. So, of course, my mother reached down, and I think she slapped me in my mouth. She told me, you don't act like that, but and she tried to tell me again to shake his hand, and I wouldn't shake his hand. And I kept telling her I can't shake his hand because he's the devil. Well, I don't know how much time went on, but I could tell you that as time went on, that man, it was something about that man. He would watch. How you doing? Okay. He would watch, like when we were outside playing, and he would always come and try to make conversation with my mom. But he would always just give me this look, that he was just really creepy to me. So one day, me and my little brother, we were outside, and we were sitting in the back. And where I was sitting would be like right here. My brother was sitting across from me, and Mr. Williams lived right next door. And there was a fence separating our homes. So he was standing there just watching us play. And when I noticed him looking, I told my little brother, I said, come on, Mark, we gotta go in. And when, Mark looked back and saw him, and Mark knew that I was scared of him because of the things that I had experienced with him, the way he made me feel. So Mark was getting up, and we were out there. You know how back in, I don't know what it is like today, when we were kids, they used to say, oh, you got to eat dirt before you die. So we was making mud pies, and we was getting our fair share of dirt. So, we were sitting out there, and when I happened to see him walk up, I told my little brother, come on, Mark, we got to go in. And as we were standing up, now remember, Mr. Williams was an elderly man. When we were standing up, he was standing there looking at us. And by the time we got to our back door, we looked up and we didn't see him anymore. We didn't see him. We didn't know where he went. And like 4 yards down from us, I remember someone lived next door. Then there was a house my friend Margie lived in. And then it was a fourth house. Well, that fourth house, it had a 2-story barn in the backyard. It was still standing, but it had caught on fire. So it didn't burn down. You could see like the frame of it. You could see inside of it where it was just parts of it was missing, parts of it was there. Well, when Mr. Williams all of a sudden was gone, we were looking around because it scared us. And we just happened to turn around, and he was standing upstairs in that barn. Upstairs in that barn that had not burnt down. And me and my brother was wondering, we were looking like, how did he, he was an old man, but he got up there. We didn't see him walk past, he just got up there. So when we saw this, we took off running, really, screaming for our mother. And my mom came to the door, asked us what was going on, and, we was trying to tell her, I told you he's the devil. Mr. Williams is here. He's doing this. And my mother, oh, no, that's not you. Y'all get in the house. And just as she was saying that, he was standing in his yard again. And she was, we were going insane. We were screaming, we were hollering because we saw what he did. But when she saw him, it's like she thought maybe he came from out of his house because he just, appeared in the back. What's wrong with the children? Why are they screaming? But he would always get this kind of look at me, So I remember when that happened, we got in the house, and I told my mother, I kept trying to tell my mother, that, man, Mom, Mr. Williams is the devil, or something about him, or he's possessed or something. And at 4 years old, I don't even know why I would be saying he's the devil, So as years went on, at that time I was 5, and I remember even, through the years, I would tell my mom, about Mr. Williams, and my mother had some experiences of her own, but they wasn't with Mr. Williams. So as time went on, and I would tell, and I kept my stance on it. Mr. Williams was the devil. So as time went on, and I ended up getting married. I got married young, had kids, and I remember I was really close to my mom, and my mom died in 1996, March 8th, 1996, and I remember. I was going through a really hard time then. I was so lost. I was so messed up that I just needed answers. But I started having experiences where somehow I was in the bed watching me and my husband sleep, but at the same time I was like up on the ceiling looking down at us sleeping. And I didn't understand, my body. And that has happened to me all my life. It seemed like when I'm going to sleep, it seemed like something is tugging at my spirit to pull my spirit out of my body. And I hate it because when I was younger, I didn't know where I was going to wake up. So, it scared me. So even after I got older and I got married, I would tell my husband, if you feel me flinching or anything in my sleep, just shake me. So he got in a habit where he would shake me, when he would start feeling me like I'm hassling or being hassled or something in my dreams. So this one particular time, right after my mom died, I saw us laying in the bed, and I was up in the corner on the ceiling looking down. And somehow or another, my body floated to downstairs in the living room. And when I got downstairs, there was this black burnt thing sitting on the couch. And if anybody has ever seen Beetlejuice, it is one of the characters that died in a fire, and you could see smoke coming out of his ears and his neck and everything. Well, that is what looked like was sitting on my couch. And and remember, I'm still upstairs asleep, but this is my spirit. And I remember asking, like, what are you? Who are you? And this thing has such a scary look and laugh. He said that he had been around for thousands and thousands of years. He's walked the earth. He said, but you would know me as Mr. Williams. And when he said that, even today when I think about that, it's kind of like, ugh. But I remember he told me he couldn't get me, but he'll get around me. And I didn't know what that meant. He can't get me, but he'll get around me. So the first thing I was thinking was he's going to use my kids to do things, to try to destroy whatever I have going on in my life. And I'll never forget that. And so after that, I would always see this face. Every once in a while, I'm not going to say always, every once in a while, this face would just appear in my face, and then it would be gone before I could even really get a chance to understand what I was looking at. I remember the color of it was kind of like a sickly pale green, ugly pale green face, but I didn't get to see what the face was, So at this time, I was 31 when my mother died. So it was that time. And then I remember just thinking, what could he mean? What could he have meant by that? Because my thing, I'm wondering, well, how come he can't get me? What is it, that about me that he can't get? So as time went on, I ended up getting a divorce years later. Most of my marriage was an unhappy marriage. It was an abusive marriage. It was physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive. And, eventually, waking up and my walk and everything, it caused a whole lot more trouble. So I ended up, just eventually getting a divorce. But what I remember is once I moved out of the house we had it built. I lived in an apartment. And what was funny was that face that I would see, periodically appeared in my face again. But this time I was able to catch a glance at who this face was. And from what I was thinking, I'm thinking, you know, for this face to appear and be gone, this face was, you know, the spirit that was used to destroy me, to do things to me, hurt me, you know. It was just cause all kind of just conflict, you know, in my life. And what was sad and shocking to me, the face that I was able to see when that face was made visible to me was the face of my first ex-husband. So I'll never forget that. And then I think about it. I thought about it over the years, the things I went through, the way he treated me, and, you know, the things going on in our marriage. And I was thinking, you know what? He was an oppressive spirit. He would, you know, people are used as, you know, spirits use people to do whatever it is they want to do. But, yeah. That face, when it, you know, when it finally appeared to me after I moved out of our house, it was his it was my ex-husband. It was the father of my kids. So there's one thing I shared. There'll be more to come. Please feel free if you want to share something with you, because I have a lifetime of stories to share. Like I said, I was 4 or 5 when that happened. I'm 60 today, so I have plenty to share. So I hope you'll come back. Like and share and subscribe. Thanks.